another episode of TacoBytes, your Daily Bite of Degen, episode number 709. Builders keep on building, just keep building. Oh my gosh, it is great to come to you live. It is day 3 for me with no internet or cell phone service, which is just an annoying feature. I'm able to hop onto the complex's internet and get it very briefly in my home, which is really annoying. Sometimes I like it because my phone isn't going ding every few minutes, but then when it does get signal for just a minute, my phone just blows up with a whole bunch of different notifications. So it's been really funny sort of having to deal with that over the last couple of days. Been doing some adulting, as I'm getting this move done, moving from New York to Dallas. So have been watching what's going on with the markets. And one of the really big things that we've seen sort of come across today is the entire market's sort of tanking. After a little bit of deep diving, and this is one of those markets that I'm not really heavy in, and that's the bonds market. And so what we've seen Japan raise their rates for the first time on international transactions of the yen, and Japan has always been a really long-term play roadmap on everything. I think one of my favorite lines is like the founder of Toyota saying, we don't have a 2-year plan, we have a 200-year plan. And the mentality of a lot of different giant Japanese companies is that long-term goal. One of the really good Web3 companies that has that in effect is a Star Network, which is building out on Polkadot. And so Star has been doing a lot of different cool things within the Web3 ecosystem behind the scenes. One of the largest things that they did a 3-month trial with Tokyo Railway, where they added a wallet to everyone's app without them knowing. I'm sure there was something in the terms and conditions, that fine print, but what they wanted to try to see was if they could reduce tickets being misused, one ticket being used multiple times. And so they then issued all tickets as dynamic NFTs for a 3-month period. And it was so successful that they're carrying out a larger integration plan for the entire railway system, which people are like all astounded right now by Avalanche getting California's deal with car titles on blockchain. People have been doing this stuff. And I got to shout out to Tezos. Tezos actually was the initial pilot program in California last year. They're the ones that did all the hard work of putting all of the car titles and creating a system for new titles to be added to the blockchain. And so Avalanche was able to swoop in after that pilot program. And yes, I'm not fudding on Avalanche in any way, shape, or form. Avalanche is doing some amazing things outside of the gaming world. And this is one of those steps where they're really trying to push that infrastructure piece. But someone else came in and did the hard work and showed how it would help California out. So I just want everyone, I don't do anything on Tezos. I think I have one Tezos NFT. Actually, I think I have 2 Tezos NFTs now because MoMA, the Museum of Modern Art, based in New York, has this amazing AI display that's been there since it was installed in like January of 23, I think it was, and I saw it the second week of February with a gathering of pudgy penguins and stuff like that that went on we had a fun day. But they had a QR code up on the second floor, and you got to collect the AI art piece as an NFT. And so went and did that, definitely. But one of the really funny things now, I think I have a new Tezos NFT. I've lived in New York for 2 years, and I have barely done any touristy things. It's basically like I go there to sleep. That's about it. But the day before I left New York, I actually went and was a super tourist, and I went to the Empire State Building and went all the way up, had great time, got to see some amazing views. Um, got put into the tourist trap of the, buying the restaurant as a ticket type of thing, all the whole 9 yards. But what was really interesting at the end, they offer you an Empire State NFT, and it's part of their ambassador program. So the more NFTs you collect, the better chance you could earn, I guess, your way to being an Empire State Building um, ambassador, which I think is sort of a really funny thing. So they're like, basically, come, spend a lot of money on tickets, come visit the Empire State Building multiple times, get enough of them. Who knows? Something could happen. I think that's hilarious, but I think that's my second Tezos NFT. So to roll back to what A Star is doing, A Star's been doing some really big long-term pieces, and we've seen a lot of different Japanese based, and I don't want to sound cancel culture-ish, but A Star is a Japanese chain, plain and simple. They work heavily with all Web3 projects, but their main focus and infrastructure side of things is in Japan. Their partnerships are in Japan with Japanese companies, not, companies that are doing business in Japan, but Japanese companies. And so they're sort of staying into that cultural shift of thinking long term, not paper-handed bitches like some people are. But at the same time, we've seen how where Asian cultures are when it comes to token trading. Their average token hold time is 6 minutes. In America, average token hold time 23 days, and that's across the board. Europe is, I think, in like the 16-day period to 48, the more eastern, and then even longer if you go down into the MENA region. One of the reports that I read why the MENA region holds tokens for longer is because they don't necessarily, and I take this report with a grain of salt, but they don't take into account consideration for gas to sell. And so they use everything they can to buy, and then when it's time for them to sell, they don't have the gas. And that's, I don't know if that was someone just being tongue in cheek, or what the reality is it too, but it's a really interesting thing to think of too at the same time. So we are seeing a lot of different things where companies and projects are going on that infrastructure route with countries, cultures. And so we're going to be seeing a lot of this stuff as we head, as we travel the world. We see a lot of different views on Web3 from different parts of the world. Real easy, identifiable stuff. When you're in France and you're meeting with, everyone is focused on NFTs, art. Everyone wants to do metaverse clothing. I get fidgetals. If you're in Poland, and Poland has a thriving ecosystem, but their focus is on payments, peer-to-peer payments, non-KYC payments. If you're in the UK, you'll see a lot more towards perp lending and stuff like that, borrow lending protocols. Brussels, with a lot of people that were native to Brussels, or in that area, a lot of them were French. What was their focus? Art and metaverse. And what I saw a little difference, a little bit, that was different for Belgium, regen. And so a lot of different refi projects as well. So it's really sort of cool. And then, as you get down into like MENA and like Africa and the Middle East, you see more on DeFi, and you see more into like tokens and RWAs around property. So that's a really interesting piece, and not necessarily titles as NFTs and stuff like that, but just being able to interact with real estate and pay for it. So more on not necessarily non KYC peer to peer, more like P2B, um, um, and transactional blockchain usage. Africa more along the gaming token side of things. Um, I see more a lot towards like gaming and sports protocols. So far in Asia and stuff like that, I've only made it so far to Singapore. And when I was in Singapore, it was the when I went outside of the conference circles and I went and visited the local internet cafes, gaming cafes. There are a ton of them. There's even a gaming hotel, which is actually super cheap, super cool, and it comes loaded with these like either one or two um, amazing they got good gaming rigs set up, so like basically a gaming rig hotel there in Singapore. I may or may not be staying there, I don't know. I think I got myself somewhere else because I wanted to be closer to F1 and Breakpoint because yeah. So but what's going to be really interesting, Korea is going to be amazing. Getting really excited for Korea Blockchain Week. And so yeah, as we've also seen here in the US, we've seen a lot of focus more right now on RWAs. What's really hilarious is now everything is an RWA in the US. Tennis shoes on the, we've moved away from digitals, physical digital representation, and now sneakers are RWAs. Wine and whiskey are RWAs. And I find that hilarious that we're classifying non-financial instruments, but market movers at the same time that have real value. One of the cool projects that I've gotten to do a lot of stuff with and hope to do a lot more with David and with Jenna is Degen Labs. And according to them, and I believe them because of some of the other people that I've met within the ecosystem of the wine industry. The luxury wine is a 400 billion. Okay, wait. It's either a 100 billion or 400 billion. I'll have to look this up again. I'm gonna play safe and I'm gonna say 100 billion. It is $100 billion a year industry just on luxury wines. And if they're looking to add some tokenization aspects to that, and they already have some major partnerships with Deloitte and Deloitte's wine arm, meaning they got the in. When you get like a partner like Deloitte, that Deloitte's either doing two things. One, they're gonna buy you completely out and buy everything and then put your project on a shelf and let it create dust. Or because they have a competitive product in some way, shape, or form, or they think that it's gonna get them more money and that's why they sign on. And so they look at that longer play of being able to do more transactions at a cheaper cost, but because they're doing twice as many transactions, they're raking it in even more. So it's really interesting to sort of see some of these things that are coming around and how they're getting named. One of the things that we've started to see disappear a little bit for right now, and I think it just, we haven't had too many art conferences since, South by Southwest. And then there is right after Consensus somewhere in Texas. It has a really weird name. I forget what it's called, but it's an art fest, sort of like with like art blocks and stuff like that. So I think it starts with an M, not sure. But then the next big art event that we have here in the US is going to be Art Basel in December. Don't know if I'm going to make it this year. I didn't make it last year either because I was busy. I don't even remember where I was last year. I think I was in the US. It doesn't matter. This year, I'm not going to make it because I'm going to be coming back November from like Hong Kong, and then I got to get a lot of stuff tied up. I'm actually going to be going on my first vacation in like 6 years, 7 years. I'm going to be going on a vacation um, from the 23rd to the or the 21st to the 3rd down in Mexico. And what's really hilarious is I was, told like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I'm going on vacation. That means you're not going to be doing any work at all. I'm like, no, it just means I'm going to be working in the morning time or, and then I'll be free the rest of the day. And they're like, but that's not a vacation. I'm like, yeah, that is. If I'm in one spot longer than a week in any way, shape, or form, I consider that a vacation. So even if I'm home for a week, which I just got here on the first, the first was my first day here, I think, or full day here, and I leave on the 11th. I'm actually, and so for those that are heading up to Canada for Futurist and ETH Toronto, I would love to see you helping. I'm going to be a speaker over at Decentralized AI Day, DAI Day. That's going to be, Manifest is going to be there, um, aka me. Morpheus, David Johnson from Morpheus. Eric Voorhees is going to be there. Um, Eric Voorhees, I've known him for a little while now, but what's really hilarious, it turns out I've known his dad for a little bit longer. And that's just by proxy, I think, but I've known of Eric for a long time, but I got to eat, I've known his dad for a little bit longer, which is just a really weird thing, I guess, but his dad is just as cool as him and how humble he is. Big J is humble as Eric sort of brings a different energy of awesomeness to it, but um, it's people that have been able to get their voices so concise that they can present a really clean and clear message, which I look up to all the time because I've been doing this show now I've been creating content since 2018, and the fact that I still can't carry on a conversation on one topic for longer than 30 seconds, that is a downplay for me. I know that. But at the same time, it's like I'm a squirrel and I always bring the nut back to the bush. So outside of Eric Voorhees, we're going to have, I think, Mikey Anderson. I think Luke Kerner's coming up for ETH Toronto, and we're going to be doing a special Canada Crypto Mondays. I know he had me speak at the last International Crypto Mondays in Brussels, which was an amazing piece. So I got to share the stage with Near and ICP, talking about what we're building at Manifest. And, it's this is humbling stuff, really cool stuff. And so I'm grateful that this ride is going on and get to have fun doing it. So yeah, no. All right. After Canada, going to be in Canada for, I don't know, 3.5 days, 3 days, then not have to, choose to, flying to Vegas for like 5 days, I think, for Rare Evo and hoping to make some really cool connections down there. I really like what the Rare Evo team has always done. They are an amazing group of people. So I'm excited. I do, I wish it wasn't at Caesar's Palace. I understand the awesomeness of Caesar's Palace. But man, Caesar's Palace knows something is going on and they are booked that out. But gonna be staying right next to Caesar's Palace, and just for the heck of it, I think I'm gonna go do the poker tournament that Rare Evo is hosting. And I'm gonna limit myself to one buy-in. Because I'm gonna go balls to the walls and just like go all in. Maybe not hand one, hand two, starting hand two. I'm gonna go all in, and maybe I might try to make a predictions market and like have like a pre-laid plan of how I should bet each hand, whether I should go all in, fold, drain, whatever. But I'm going for the fun of it. There's some really amazing people that like have put a lot of effort and time into the skill of poker. And so I'm just going to go have a good time. I think the money either goes to a good cause or goes to someone's pocket, which is also a good cause. Um, but it's all down to have a great time to sort of network with other people. After Rare Evo, once again, I get to have another vacation of 10 days of being in one location before flying off to Korea for Korea Blockchain Week. We have a couple of AI events there that we're sort of talking, two events that we're talking at. And then the APEC region on AI has just really started to take off. But what's really been hungry is access to compute power. And so some of the really cool stuff that I've been doing with Akash, with Greg and Lumerin and Morpheus and 6079, and what we've been doing at Manifest, it's brought around some really awesome partnerships of how we've been able to serve and support these other companies and projects and people that are wanting both decentralized and open source AI. Yesterday was on a panel with Wire Network, um, Ken DeCross, the founder, as well as David Johnston and Tiana Baker from Ask Venice, and the main focus was around Morpheus and Venice AI and what's sort of coming up new. The new access to the 405 billion token Llama 3.1, which is awesome. Now, if you haven't used Ask Venice, I ask you to try it. It is Venice.ai. It is not ChatGPT. It is that uh if you think of that picture where the guy's looking at another girl and the girl's looking at the guy like jealous, think of like the hot chick as like Venice and the girl that's all like upset as ChatGPT. And the reason why I say that in jest is ChatGPT is a black boxed piece. But when I say black box, it's you don't get to know what's going on behind the curtain, but the people that are working there know what's going on behind the curtain. We had Sam Altman a week and a half ago even declaring he's like the level and the deepness of personable questions that people are talking to ChatGPT about is astounding. Now, why the hell does this gentleman know how personable these questions are if this is supposed to be a black box private piece? So um, I think that that's just one piece there. I'm not going to get too deep into it. It is almost 1:30, and we're gonna cut this short tonight. But at the same time, I want people to I want to challenge people to try Venice.ai. One of the really cool, interesting pieces with the partnership between Morpheus and Venice.ai is if you have one more token, it's on Arbitrum, or if it might have been bridged over to Base or to ETH, because it is a layer zero tech token. But if you get one more token, which is about $25, and you just hold it in your wallet, you don't have to spend it. You get Venice Pro for free. If you use a wallet to sign in, you can either use SocialFi's, you can use Google, you can just use email and password, or you don't have to sign in at all and you still get everything. Or you can sign in with a wallet and you get Venice Pro. If you don't want to pay $25 for a token, you could pay $45 for a year. And so the expanded usage really is that I've seen so far is the amount of prompts you can ask per day. With prompts being unlimited and images being 1,000 images, I think is what they sort of curtail it at in a day. So really interesting piece, but you sort of have God mode behind it, and that's really cool. Let's see what else. We're going to Korea. After Korea, we're going to Singapore, Token 2049. Breakpoint. We're looking at hosting a DAI day there in Singapore as well. And right now, I'm having to design a booth for Token 2049 because looks like Manifest. We're gonna. I think I'm gonna get a booth at Token 2049. I was looking originally at a kiosk, but I think that with the amount of backdrop, we can showcase a lot of the different projects within our ecosystem and talk about more than just us. And I think that's one of the really cool things that we see some of the L1s do is they sort of have like community takeovers of their booths at conferences. And so rather than just make it a Manifest booth, I think I want to bring in a lot of the different partners, ecosystem players, and then also we just finished up our AI cohort. We had 10 amazing projects go through our accelerator, so I think might try to lend some landscape to them as well, because I don't know about you guys, but Token 2049 is going to be amazing. Now, for those that don't know, that might have seen a video or something like that, I was just in Singapore for Super AI. Super AI was created by the same team behind Token 2049. That was just it for the venue at Marina Bay Sands. That was half of the 4th floor, and they fit 6,000 people in half of the 4th floor. This is going to be 5 full floors, and just at they do a I think 60% of swag bags for attendees, and so they did roughly 3,000 bags for swag at Super AI. Right now they have 20,000 bags. So huge shout out to the entire team that's putting that together. So we got a request. Before we wrap this up, let's see if we got that going down. But I want to shout out to everyone that's joining us on LinkedIn, Player One Taco, YouTube, 0xDegens, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Telegram, Rumble, Kick, on-chain via Unlonely, and on-chain via Solana on Soul Media Tech. And we're going to jump over to Twitter stage. Civil, GM.
Thank you so much for all of this overview. This was like really a nice overview of stuff. Nice like show some sort of looking ahead. Good combination of stuff. Well, first of all, I want to ask: were you in Tokyo for EdCon?
I did not make it to EdCon. I was asked if I was going to be able to go. Unfortunately, I had a commitment at Opal Group in Rhode Island. I heard EdCon was amazing, though.
Yeah, I was not there either. Yeah, it was. I think it was amazing. Yeah, I mean, Funding the Commons is always amazing. Were you ever at a Funding the Commons event?
The what?
At a Funding the Commons.
At HCC?
No, in general, they do I think I've done like 8 or 9 or 10ish. They basically mostly do like 2-day events, sometimes close to big conferences, sometimes kind of on their own.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's kind of been mostly around digital public goods, but I was in Berkeley this year in April, and there they had kind of the big auditorium in the venue was digital public goods, and people from or one person at least from Linux Foundation was there, from Tor Project, but also of course Web3 stuff. And yeah, Walkie was there and others. A lot of incredible people. And then upstairs there was the Earth Comment, which was more about the physical public goods, kind of environmental and humanitarian, mostly environmental actually, because it was Earth Commons, which was the continuation of the Sustainability Blockchain Summit, which was hosted the last few years by Falcon Green, which is kind of transitioning into different format, a different.
Didn't Parity also have a hand in that as well?
Parity?
Yeah, with the Sustainable Blockchain Summit.
very possible. What is Parody? Or
Parody is one of the companies that they're one of the Web3 foundations that sort of have a hand behind the scenes in a lot of different stuff. I think I went to one of one of the first. It might have been just a summit, but I think I went to one in Paris in like 2022.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Was that around ECC then? In Paris?
It was around ECC, ECC 5.
It might have been Shelling Point.
What?
Was that maybe Shelling Point?
No, Shelling Point is something else. Shelling Point,
okay.
Yeah, Shelling Point is one of the new. It has Shelling Point's been used before. Shelling Point is one of the new DAOs that's being put together by Ahmad from Stable Diffusion. So
that's fascinating. That's fascinating.
That's
very fascinating. Okay,
cool. Got to talk with Ahmad at Super AI, and he's Ahmad had some controversy and stuff like that. I understand that every person sort of does, but his vision and ideas behind AI, you can't really go wrong, Yeah,
very, very cool. I mean, word of it's right where the word is just like a regular word, and then it's being used for organizations and stuff. And but yeah, the word Shelling Point. But yeah, I don't know. It's I guess there's a lot of AI stuff now. I mean, I guess whatever. It's I mean, it's cool. It's interesting. It's scary. It's fascinating. It's of course relevant. It's fast. It's like enormous potential. It's like one of the most like basically almost intrinsically accelerating things. I feel like, which is also fascinating to think about. That something that a development just at its core, even independent from if the development cycle is accelerating, just the tech itself is.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say machine learning. If you do it quote unquote right, then it's almost intrinsically accelerating, right?
And it is accelerating, and so the point to where we see machine learning right now, and I'll just label it Chat GPT 4. At that level right now, that's at the retail level. What corporations have access to is 5 years ahead, because they're able to open those pocketbooks up. Training models is one of the hardest things and most intensive things right now for GPU usage. But what AI is going to look like in 5 years, we have no idea. What we can imagine, but the tools we're building and the AIs we're building today are the ones that are going to help us build that AI tomorrow. But when you're talking about with like Shelling Point, and Common Goods, and there's a big tie-in with like Gitcoin, as well as oh my gosh, quadratic funding projects, which I think is really cool. And getting to see some of the public good stuff that's built out at hackathons. I'm really excited. I don't know if you're going to be at Permissionless later this year in October in Utah.
Is that also in Utah, really? Permissionless is going to Utah.
Yes.
Well, Utah does have a few reasons to go. What time is that?
It is October. I'm going to stretch a guess here, but I'm going to be approximately right. October 10th, 12th, and 13th, I think, or 11th, 12th, 13th.
Okay. Well, actually, interesting, very interesting. Actually, that. Okay. Well, good to know. Good to know. Well, I want to thank you. First and foremost, well, I guess to close it off, Shelling Point, I pinned it up with SCH like then as well as also @shillingpoint_. Actually, @shillingpoint_ is also the account, and that is a event series which is caused by Gitcoin and others. Happen in different formats. This year in Denver was fairly small-ish, bigger than expected, but much smaller than the previous ones. Have different approach. Yeah, but like that's kind of was one afternoon, right? And it was great. Well, actually, it was like kind of weird and not great that it was parallel to another very aligned event with the regeneration, but okay. Yeah, so anyhow, that was the one that I was referring to. But I want to thank you deeply that you came by Regen Village in Brussels.
Yes.
Awesome that you were there, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was so glad to hear that. I was like, I was talking with a friend. I was like, that was this dude. I was like, hanged with with like what's it called? Tickets? No, you don't.
All the badges.
Tickets. Yeah, badges. That's the word, right?
Yep.
I was like, well, was that Taco? Yeah, I think it was Taco. So I was a little bummed that we missed each other again, but we were in the same building again. But yeah, so cool that you were there, dude. Really nice.
No, I try my best to get everywhere to meet as many amazing people as possible. And you know, it just it grows the network, you know. So I don't know, it's amazing time. So I'm glad that, you know, getting to connect with you on the timeline and stuff like that. And thanks for coming on up as we're getting ready to close down.
Yeah, one day we will meet in person. But I want to hear what you thought of Regen Village.
It was good. So refi is not necessarily my cup of tea for a couple different reasons. I'm not a huge fan of ESG. It's sort of ESG sort of been pushed to the forefront to almost the detriment of corporations and companies, and we're starting to see an over amount of backlash now on that. So I think it's sort of one of those things that got played too heavy, too hard, and there might be some rollbacks on it. But just because it's not my thing doesn't mean it's not a thing. Where I see a lot of opportunity in DeFi is what I really want to see is I want to see the expansion of Toucan, you know, and carbon credits. Worked with a project called Atlas Protocol, which is trying to make a multi-chain marketplace for carbon credits across that also proves on-chain and off-chain that they've been redeemed. I think that's one of the hardest things is we've sort of seen there's been a very big lack of price discovery for carbon credits. So it doesn't matter if it is a 2023 AAA Gold Star carbon credit or a 2012 D class carbon credit, it's still $1.35 a metric ton. Last time I checked. So it might be up a little bit more than that, but you know, we're seeing some interesting stuff there. But the idea of being sustainable in blockchain isn't new, but I'm really glad that it's a focus. And so I think that as long as it's a focus and it's providing value and it's not just a vibe party, I think that that's going to be one of the really cool things. But had a lot of cool conversations and met a lot of cool people. Met up with some friends at the Regen House. You know, to go on to other events, but still got to meet and talk to amazing people there as well.
Yeah, I was definitely filled with amazing people, and yeah, I see your points. They are definitely also valid points, and I mean, I don't know, like how much to regulate on all of that. It's a difficult question, and like how much should be kind of dictated and how much shouldn't be. And in general, I agree, maybe not too much, but yeah, it's a big topic. Happy to have that conversation if you want, but we don't have to now. But yeah, in general, the Regen Village was definitely a vibe party. I mean, of course, all conferences are more vibes and kind of getting to know than doing and building. Actually, I mean, sure, hackathons can be building actually, right? But what I have to say is, when it comes to kind of non-technical building, the Regen Village was definitely one of the ones where that was like much more prevalent, at least for me, than at basically any other event so far. Because like 1 week, each day, basically a lot of the same people as the day before. And so, like in so many other conferences, like, okay, great, I got to meet many new people, many new, and also people that I knew online, and that's great, and it is valuable, and I like that. And then I talk with many of them for like maybe 2 minutes or 30 seconds or 20 minutes when I meet them once in that week. And that's also great, but still, it's even greater if I get to talk to them a few times over the course of a week. Yeah, and that's kind of what happened at Regen Village. Yeah. So that was just really really nice.
Yeah, no, and I agree. When you get to see people multiple times in the same venue, when projects take over a venue, I love that. One of the first projects that used to do that was Hackin'. They'd take over a cafe for a week, and other projects started seeing that and doing that. And I might be wrong on that. Other people might have done it first or before them, but that was the first project that I started to see in like 21, just take over a facility and stuff like that, and make a space. And I think that you're right, because beyond the just like that 30-second run in on the conference floor, or the after event where it's too loud to actually have a conversation, when you're able to have multiple conversations with someone, I say this all the time. We work in a trustless and permissionless environment, but where we build that trust, we're still humans, so we still need to trust something. But so where we build those relationships is IRL at events and conferences, where we get to meet people as a melting pot. I think is the best way of sort of putting it together, because we all realize we're all building in one direction, and it really sort of helps us find the actors that are trying to do good, and the people that, I'm not going to say the people that are bad are the ones that don't show up, because not everyone can honestly travel the world. Some people, because of their circumstances or because of their job, they might be working full time for one project or 20 projects, but they're so in depth they can't travel. So I'm not trying to take away from the people that aren't able to go to events, but you build up and you try to figure out how to work with. And when you're trying to figure out how to work with the people you meet and that you build relationships with, I think really cool things happen, because you take situation A, which normally, goes, only works for project B, but your project F. So you're now trying to figure out a solution of how to have some sort of overlap and merge with project A and project F, because they can do cool things. And I think really awesome things happen that way.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, and it is also fascinating how the vibe of a person can be so different from online and in person. At least, well, not even the vibe, but just what you think of a person. Even maybe, I mean, yeah, you see different sides of people online, and you also see different kind of ways people present themselves. The way that people communicate. Some people communicate very badly in text. Some people communicate very differently in text, and all that. And then, yeah, when you meet them in person, of course, you see another side of them. And yeah.
Yeah.
One day we will meet at a conference, Taco.
One day we will meet at a conference. Civil. So yeah, no.
I gotta mention this. Actually, you mentioned spreading Toucan and seeing the adoption. I invite you to check out. I will also comment them down below. But yeah, I pinned them up. A friend of mine, Cyrus. Actually, I don't know if you met him, but he's also one of the core people who worked on and is still working on the TK region token region.tips, and he just made actually with Toucan biochar implemented.
Okay.
And yeah, it's interesting stuff how it's implementing stuff from Toucan, and they are doing like some NFT minting incentivization. I also know another friend who's working on implementing some Toucan stuff.
Nice. Make sure you drop that down in the comments so people can find it later. But Civil, we are wrapping up for the night, and I want to shout out to E-Rich. Yes, we are on episode 709. Civil, since you are on stage, we end every show the same way with words of wisdom and the greatest worst knock knock joke on the face of the planet. So since you are up on stage, you get to help close us out with words of wisdom.
Ooh, I like it. I would say go out in the sun, feel the sun, and ask a lot of questions always. And yeah, no matter how basic they seem. Well, I was too. Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. And as always, my words of wisdom are always the same. A closed mouth cannot be fed, and you cannot feed a closed mouth, meaning if no one knows you're looking for opportunity, opportunity can never come a knocking. If opportunity does come knocking and no one answers, it's going to keep on walking. I want to thank everyone for joining us tonight for TacoBytes, your daily bite of Degen, episode number 709. And I really want to thank Civil Monkey for coming on up stage, being part of the conversation. This is always an open stage unless we're interviewing someone, and then I try to make it an open interview at the end. Just a space for people to talk and learn and hear what I see going on in the world. And I want to hear what's going on in your part of the world too. But as always, we end with the greatest worst knock knock joke on the face of the planet. Civil, are you ready for this?
Well, I'm going to say yes.
All right. We've done this joke 708 times, and we're going to do it 709 tonight. Knock knock.
Who's there?